Today we will be discussing, on the last day I told you about normal constituents of urine. I think there should not any doubt about that thing. You raised the issue, I have clarified it. And in future, go on asking this question. That will stimulate me also to read and go through what I have learned also. Because of aging, I might forget, and I have forgotten many things. All I am not remembering. So today analysis of abnormal constituent, only one constituent, that is sugar. Sugar is, I have written it with an inverted comma, because specific target is to analyze glucose in urine. But sugar I have written, but the test is basically for sugar, because it not only measures glucose but other reducing sugars as well. Other reducing, that's why I have named it sugar within inverted comma. In a short while you will know what is glucosuria and what is glycosuria, all these things. একটা পয়েন্ট লিখে নাও তো, গ্লাইকোসুরিয়া. Glycosuria is equivalent to glucosuria in all textbooks. Glucosuria আর glycosuria এক জিনিস নয় কো, একটা সমান দিয়ে কেটে দাও, এমনি it is not equivalent. কিন্তু বইয়ে টেক্সট বইতে, in all your textbooks, in medicine book you will see that glycosuria, but I forgot to tell this thing in previous two classes. So normally all textbooks describe glycosuria, not glucosuria. So basically detection of urine sugar is the target today. That is the test. I will discuss about the principle and you understand in such a way that you can do the test directly without asking anybody. And if you require anybody's help, then the entire class and my effort is totally waste. You can ask any question, whatever you like, but get yourself satisfied before you leave the class. So the name of the test is Benedict's test. See, earlier we used to prepare this, write down the composition of Benedict reagents, only the name. Only the names, what is the composition of Benedict reagents. This comes as a spot. What is the composition of the Benedict? That's why I am asking you to write down. Write down sodium copper sulfate pentahydrate, or simply write down copper sulfate. This copper sulfate is in cupric form. Sodium citrate, sodium carbonate. তুমি ওয়েটটা লিখতে চাইলে লেখো, বলো বলো অ্যামাউন্টটা বলছি আই এম ক্লারিফাইং. ইউ ক্যান রাইট ডাউন, বাট দিস ইজ নট রিকোয়ার্ড. Write down the name. Whatever I am asking you to note down, that you note down. The amount I'll clarify. Write down the name. No need to write down the formula also. Write down the name, because it is not difficult. It is difficult to remember, and we don't want this thing also. In a breath, you have to answer this question, because you will, for a spot you will get only 1 minute time. And if you write correctly, you will get full marks. So earlier we had to, how this reagent is prepared. Actually, this is the bottle. This is what is this bottle, and this is what is this one. This 5-liter jar. Is this part clear? Earlier, no plastic material was available. What we used to do, these are commercially available reagents, available in the market. Earlier, this type of kits were not available. So what we used to do, we used to prepare the reagents on our own during our MD class and during my early part of professional life. We used to weigh 173 grams and 100 grams in a volumetric flask or a large beaker. We dissolved it in 600 ml of water. We used to boil it and then stir it. And this copper sulfate, 73 grams, we used to dissolve it in 100 ml of water. Then on constant stirring in that hot solution, we used to gradually pour it. So 600 and 100, 700. After everything has been dissolved in a volumetric flask, we used to make the volume up to 1000 ml. And then we used to mix thoroughly. Then we used to keep stored like this. And from that we used to, depending on the laboratory requirement, either we used to prepare 1 liter, 2 liter, 3 liter, 4 liter, 5 liter. If you want to measure 5, then we have to multiply by 5 only. Nothing more than that. So that is the reason why I have written, because you see here 300 grams is dissolved in 1000 liters. So density of the solution is high. It is much more higher than water, and it has got a significance in the test, during that test procedure. This is a dense solution compared to water or urine. Urine doesn't have this much solute, and urine is just like water. But this is, you can, with hands there will be a problem. I don't want you to use the hand, but while you will be sucking in the pipette, so there is a rubber bulb here. We don't want any reagent to be sucked by mouth. Maybe in the chemistry class you have sucked some reagents using mouth. Now mouth pipetting is not allowed because that might enter. So you have to practice this thing. You have to use exercise negative suction, and you have to suck the material. Since this solution is dense, if you do not do this thing properly, gradually, air will be sucked into it, and you will not be able to get the correct volume. So in first chance, it is very difficult for you to get 5 ml directly. So you have to put a little bit practice. Now if you cannot do it this up to 5 ml, what I am suggesting in the alternative method, if you can draw up to 2 ml or 3 ml, doesn't matter. We have noted down 3 ml, so you dispense that 3 ml first here. So only 2 ml is left. So again in the second attempt you suck 2 ml. Instead of committing that great mistake of bubble and wasting time, that 5 ml is not dissolved, even if 2 to 1. Basically my idea is you have to put 5 ml here. And to get an idea what is 5 ml, even first you can give a water 5 ml 0, and you can get a mark here for how much is 5 ml. You will get a rough idea. So the alternative method is that if you cannot do it completely 5 ml, maybe because of nervousness, tension during examination, or the bulb is not functioning properly, then you might have a difficulty. Don't waste time. Do that thing. Second thing is that if you do not do it properly, if you press extra, fluid will come here, and then it needs to be washed out, and the tightness of this rubber bulb will be lost because water is there now, along with that solution which is alkaline in nature. So it will not fit so tightly. So since this will not be airtight, so again there will be problem in sucking. So that undesirable thing you must not do. So that is the reason why I have told you, this is the purpose of telling you that this is a dense solution. Now write down this thing completely. Take a 25 ml test tube. Here 25 ml test tube. Now using this rubber pipette, this rubber bulb fitted, this is a Benedict solution which will be given on your rack. Open the lid, put this thing here, drop it, suck it. 5 ml, and then you dispense this 5 ml into this test tube. Gradually you just put it down, gradually dispense completely. Press the bulb completely so that the entire fluid will go down. If you do not, if all the fluids are not coming out, then you can remove it. Air will come, it will definitely come down. Is this part clear? Then you tighten it again the way it was fit. So after you take it, reagent, add 8 drops or 0.5 ml of urine here. This is a dense solution on which you are giving a light solution, less dense solution, so that will not get mixed so easily. So you have to shake the test tube slightly like this. So upper part will get mixed, then you gradually mix it, gradually mix it, gradually mix it. Wait for 2 to 3 seconds, let the solution get mixed, let the solution get mixed. Alternatively, if there is pure test tube is available, very carefully on the table itself, like this, you just hold this thing and gradually you put it like this or you put it like this. Make a sarbat type of thing, 2 or 3 times, then it will get fully mixed. Do not lose any single drop. you have to do a practice. Okay, there is another option. These are technical issues not written very clearly, but since I have practiced it for quite a long time, now take the take a test tube holder. This you have used it in your chemistry class 12, you know this thing. So in the test tube holder, you just hold the tube, don't tighten too much because it might break. And if it breaks, first and foremost, it will fall immediately on the floor. And in case of examination, your marks is basically 0. And yes, another thing is that while if you are tightening like that, too much tightening, there might be breakage and you can sustain personal injury. So you have to weigh a little bit balance whether it is tightened properly or not. Then you gradually hit the test tube from the top slightly down, because if you hit from the below, the fluid here will be warm and this is a dense solution. This part will be warm to hot, upper part will be still cool, and that hot part will try to come out from the bottom to the top. And if this is done a little rapidly under flame, this will call immediate bumping of the upper part of the solution. It is splashed into the air. And if you are holding the test tube like this or something like that, either it will spill on your mouth, face, or it will go on other face. So don't do this type of thing. You have to be doing this test very carefully. So gradually shake this test tube on the flame so that the upper part is warm, that upper part warm gets mixed here. Once everything is mixed, then you heat it properly. Okay. Or best thing is to put it in a boiling water bath for 3 minutes. This 3 minutes time, extra time is required because see, outside is at room temperature. The solution is at also room temperature. So you have to warm this outer side and also the solution, because since you are putting in a boiling water bath, so it will take some amount of time to get the desired temperature. But when you give the heat directly, so that delay will not be there. So it will be hot very quickly. Now then after the test is over, then allow it to cool spontaneously on the test tube rack. After the test has been done, you put it in the rack itself. And then observe the change of the color. Okay? Urine will be given in this type of beaker and a dropper will be there. Okay? What I will do, why I am asking to bring fruits to your urine, this again in another test tube we will use it. Using this dropper again, you will use that 5 ml of urine or that 5 ml of fruit juice solution, whatever we will be bringing. I will be preparing 2 more things. This we want to show you to you. So a common solution will be given and do not try to mix with the reagent. So once you do that thing, so as I told you, if you put this thing just like this thing, so the lower part will be hitting and bumping, chance of bumping. So best thing is to put it in a water bath, boiling water bath. Now, depending on the concentration of glucose in urine or any reducing substance in the urine, the spectrum of color will be like this. The solution is absolutely blue here. You see the original color is blue here. If there is no sugar, no reducing sugar, no glucose, the color of the test tube will remain like same even after 2 minutes boiling. If it contains a little bit glucose, very small amount, you will get just greenish color. Can you see note the change of the color? And if it is more, then this will be like this. And if it is still higher, it will be deep green. And still higher, it will be slightly almost red. And with chocolate to red, and that will be reddish color, red color. So if the amount is very high, then you will get that red colored precipitate. Now there is some amount of reactant we have seen. It is not an unlimited amount. Your urine might have much more sugar than that reagent can use it. So that extra amount of reducing sugar will not be able to react. So the maximum color we will get using the maximum amount of reagents in equimolar concentration. Reaction takes place in equimolar concentration. So once the entire molecules of that particularly sodium carbonate copper sulfate is used completely, then even after having extra amount of glucose, it will not be able to change the color much more than this. So that indicates that level or above. Is this part clear? And this spectrum of color, changes in color, you will see in with your own eyes. And you see the clinical setup, in a laboratory setup, what we do, urines are given from the patients, and we mark it on the test tube, whose sample is this thing, then we put it in a boiling water bath, and you can see the change of color. So different patient will have a different concentration. So accordingly, after pulling this thing, we will report accordingly 3+, 4+, and how this is reported. See, if the color remains blue, just like that, you note down this thing. If the color remains blue, that means it is nil. There is no glucose is present. If it is green, that means it is 1+. 100 to 300 milligram per deciliter. Or if it is yellow, then it is 2+, 300 to 1000. If it is brown, 1000 to 1500, and orange to red, 1500 or more. Because even if more than 1500 is there, that cannot be measured. Then there is a separate procedure for it. I am not going to confuse it with by telling all those things. So one thing you note down here, there are two types of tests, as I told you earlier in the previous class. One is qualitative, one is quantitative. Qualitative means only detection, and quantitative means exact quantitation. And you can see here, this is basically a qualitative test, whether it is present or not. But it is not a mere qualitative test, it is also semi-quantitative, because some amount of quantitation we are allowing, but exactly not. Suppose if I say what is your blood glucose level, or blood plasma glucose level, you will give 153, or maybe it is 205, or it might be 101, or it might be 115. That is exact quantification, exact single figure. There is no approximation. But here you see, if you see the green, the 300 to 1000, the range is quite wide. It might be 400, 500, we don't know, 540, 547, 348, we don't know. So that is the reason why it is called semi-quantitative, not exact quantitation. Is this part clear? This is exactly, usually this part, this principal part is discussed first, and then this part. I am doing it in a reverse way, because if I tell the principle first, you have to imagine something. You have to imagine, and various persons will imagine invariably, and that imagination part I wanted to remove right in the very beginning itself. Now you will match with the principle. What you are right now asking, I am coming to that point. I think if that doesn't answer to your question, then again ask the question. Okay. So what we have done basically, that is what principle was involved. You note down very clearly. So earlier we told you, Benedict's result, you have noted it down already. No need down. The principle. You have seen that we have we have warmed it, we have put it in a hot, that medium, this solution is an alkaline medium. So hot alkaline, this reiterated word is very important, you have to tell before the exam. So in a hot alkaline medium, isn't it, we have warmed it, we have made it hot. So that's the reason it is a hot alkaline medium. Glucose, because our target here is to measure glucose, including all reducing sugars, not only glucose, all reducing sugars in urine produces enediol. What enediol is, I am going to explain, which is a strong reducing agent. I have written so that you understand and you can tell before the examiner in your own language, so that he will understand that you understood the matter. This same thing has been written in various books in various ways. I thought it would be the best way to understand and to write. So it reduces cupric ion. Copper sulfate is in cupric form. So it reduces cupric ions of copper sulfate to cuprous ion. That inedial reduces cupric to cuprous. Now cuprous hydroxide is formed first and then to cuprous oxide because we are heating it. So the color of the Benedict solution, which is basically blue, it will changes from blue to green to yellow and then to big red with the increasing concentration of glucose in urine. তাই তো লেখো আর বোঝো, পড়ে পড়ে বোঝা, বুঝে বুঝে পড়া, বুঝে বুঝে লেখা, লিখে লিখে বোঝা। পড়ো, কে বুঝতে পারো এটা? Basically, the color change will depend on the amount of reducing sugar. If the sugar is less, amount is less or concentration is less, then the color will be green. If it is more, then it will be orange, big red. This you must be able to tell in single breath. And they are not, you must not miss a single word while writing. If there is any point which you could not understand, raise your hand, I will explain once more. Is there anyone who understood? So, did it clarify, answer to your question? কালারটা হচ্ছে ওই কপার সালফেটকে রিডাকশন করা আছে, কিউপ্রিক হাইড্রক্সাইডে করছে, তারপরে কিউপ্রিক অক্সাইড করছে, হ্যাঁ কিউপ্রাস অক্সাইড কালারগুলো, ওইগুলো কালার যেগুলো পাচ্ছগুলো ওইগুলো ওরই কালার। স্কাই ব্লু, তো স্কাই ব্লু তো সঙ্গে থাকবে নাকি ওটা, তো ও তো হিট করছে, তুমি সঙ্গে কিউপ্রাস অক্সাইডে, আমি প্রথমে বললাম হাইড্রক্সাইডে তৈরি হয়, তারপর ফাইনালি কিউপ্রাস অক্সাইডে তৈরি হয়ে যাবে, কিউপ্রাস অক্সাইড তৈরি হয়ে যাবে। এন্ড প্রোডাক্ট উইল বি কিউপ্রাস অক্সাইড, not cuprous hydroxide. It will pass through the reaction. Initial stage cuprous hydroxide তৈরি হবে। বুঝা গেল? I could have written, I could have bypassed cuprous hydroxide, could have written directly to cuprous oxide itself. Only for your understanding I wrote it. Is that part clear? আর কিছু বলে দাও, কোশ্চেন করছে দেখো, somebody must ask a question. So this is the part, up to this part is the part of the technician. Technician knows this thing, you have advice for using sugar, they will do that thing, but at the best they will understand this much, not beyond that. Now you will be basically doctors, so your knowledge level must be much higher than what a technician knows, or even what a nursing staff knows. And this is the extra class time which I am spending. Okay. Otherwise, the class, actual practical class is over here. Now, what are the science behind it? Write down one thing, Benedict test is positive for all reducing sugars, all monosaccharides and disaccharides, maltose and lactose. Common question asked. So, all monosaccharides, lactose and maltose, why I will clarify. And it is negative for sucrose. Commonly we say that a chini, sugar, that gives a negative result, although Benedict test is for sugar detection. এটাকে বলা হয় কানা ছেলের নাম পদ্মলোচন। সুগার নিজেই নেগেটিভ টেস্ট দেয়। হয়েছে? লেখা তাড়াতাড়ি লিখে নাও। পজিটিভ মানে টেস্টে যে ইয়েলো কালার, যদি ব্লু কালার থাকে দেন ইট ইজ নেগেটিভ। ব্লু কালারটা বাইরে যদি অন্য কোনো কালার চেঞ্জ দ্যাট ইজ পজিটিভ। সুক্রোজ ব্লাডে থাকে না। সুক্রোজ ইউরিন দিয়ে বেরোনোর চান্স নাই। তুমি কোশ্চেন করেছো, ঠিক আছে, দাঁড়া, কোশ্চেনটা হোল্ড করবে, at the end of the class we will discuss. Sucrose is present in the cane sugar. Sucrose, if we take, it is broken down into glucose and fructose by the intestine. Sucrose is not present in our blood. কেন দেবে না সেটা কেমিস্ট্রির পার্টটা বোঝানোর জন্য, এই দুটো পার্ট কেন দেবে, এটা কেন দেবে না সেটা বোঝানোর জন্য আমি লিখেছি। আর সুক্রোজ আমরা খাই, ওই সুক্রোজটা নিজে কেউ টেস্ট করতে যায়, সে টেস্ট করে কিন্তু নেগেটিভ রেজাল্ট পাবে, কিন্তু যদি নিজে ইউরিন টেস্ট করতে যায় সুক্রোজ খেয়ে, তাহলে স্ট্রংলি পজিটিভ চলে আসবে। চিনি বেশ কিছুটা খেলো, চিনি তুমি এতটা না নিয়ে এখানে দাও, কিছুই হবে না, টেস্ট নেগেটিভ আসবে, বোঝা গেল? কিন্তু তুমি যদি ওই ডায়াবেটিক পেশেন্ট খাটে চিনি খেয়ে নেয়, তারপর তুমি ইউরিন টেস্ট করে দেখা, ইউরিন টেস্টটা ফুল পজিটিভ চলে আসবে। কেন? এইটা তোমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করবো, তোমাকে বলতে হবে এই ক্লাসটা শেষে। You have raised, asked a question, you have to answer to this question, and the answer will be there in this during this class. At the end, you answer to this question. Okay? Hey, somebody is asking questions. I'm happy. So, you just coming to that part. Just I told you because in previous 2 classes I forgot to tell this thing, because polysaccharide Benedict test দেবে না positive দেবে না বলো না, বাস, that is the reason, because of the examination purposes I have inserted this slide. Otherwise, just simply for the time being you remember this thing and go to this part. So glucose is having this structure, 3 aldehyde group at anomeric carbon number 1, anomer, isomer, epimer, you have been told in chemistry class. So what is enediol? Enediol was formed in the hot alkaline medium, I told you. See the principle. What is enediol? There are 2 hydroxyl groups. Hot alkaline medium enediol theory হচ্ছে, this is enediol structure. Structure you need not remember, only for understanding. This is only purely for understanding. So there is a reversible reaction, tautomerization, ketoenol form you have read. So again, from glucose to enediol to fructose it can be formed, but forget about this. Now coming to Benedict reaction, exactly Benedict reaction. What we have seen, sugar, categorically I have written because it not only glucose gives, but all other monosaccharides give, even lactose gives, even sucrose, maltose gives. So that comes under the purview of sugar. Glucose is also a sugar. Okay? So sugar is forming enediol. Here in the solution, Benedict solution, we are having copper sulfate in cupric form. So that enediol is reducing cupric ion to cuprous ion. As you raise this question first, so cuprous hydroxide is formed and the cupric oxide. This is the end product. But since we are not like all the goddess, we don't have the adult form. There is only 2 god or goddess which is having a child form. One is Ganesh, one is Lord Krishna. All other as the educated part. So all other Bhagavans, gods are in the adult form. So this is, it has to pass through a stage. So in this process, one is getting reduced. So other part will get oxidized. So that enediol will get oxidized to sugar acid. This is the principle of Benedict test. Any doubt? I am telling you about this thing, Thomas Willis. About Willis, you will read in anatomy book also. There is a Willis circle in the brain, at the base of the brain. Willis has significant contribution in anatomy also. So before 2000, even 1500 years before Christ, the disease was named, this sugar, when used to get excreted through the urine, that urine is used to perhaps attract ants because of the sweet taste or because of the aroma. So that disease was named as Madhumeha. I don't know whether anybody had tested the urine before Thomas Willis or not. Maybe might have tested, but nobody has recorded it. All scientists are crazy persons. I am telling you, without one of the essential criteria, maybe he must be eccentric. And Thomas Willis tested that urine from a diabetic patient and it found it too sweet. And he recorded it in the medical literature, and it was in 1674. But what was that sweet agent? He could not identify. He tested. And this observation is very important. So in medical science, many things you will not be able to identify immediately. You observe it, record it, and get it published in medical journals. Just like that, today we are knowing Thomas Willis because Thomas Willis published it. But he also mentioned that I could not identify. So I searched in this difference. I am telling you, in the blood, that as he pointed out, sucrose. Sucrose is not present in the blood. Many substances we take from the food, but all the substances do not enter into the bloodstream in that form. Some are oxidized, digested, and then gets absorbed, or they are converted. So any level, terms used to describe any level in blood is anemia. Anemia means if there is a hemoglobin level is less, that is anemia. If there is a globin chain disturbance, that causes a disease called thalassemia. If the RBC numbers are high, that is called polycythemia. Similarly, if the presence or level of glucose in blood is called glycemia. The same thing is something to describe in urine is urea. That particular word will be used, and it will be prefixed by what is getting excreted in the urine, like glycosuria. It's a general term. Fructosuria, lactosuria. Similarly, presence of glucose in blood is called specifically glucosuria. So the difference between glucosuria and glycosuria is basically a general term indicating all presence of any reducing sugars. Glucosuria is very specific for glucose. But unfortunately, many things we use it very confidently, loosely, like blood sugar. We measure glucose, but still we blood sugar test. Blood sugar we do not test. We test plasma glucose in laboratory. But nobody says blood glucose test. Blood sugar test korte jacche. So blood sugar, all sugar patient. That particular convention is being used. Similarly, although glucosuria is a very specific term for diabetic patient, it is loosely used. Glycosuria is equivalent to glucosuria. So in the book, whenever you read glycosuria, it means it is glucosuria until proved otherwise. Until proved otherwise means it does not indicate any other reducing sugar. So the Benedict, what test you will be doing? He discovered this reagent. He invented this reagent. Actually, in 1974, as you see, Thomas Willis tested the urine sweet. In 1815, Vogel attempted to see what is there in that urine. He found some reducing substances are giving the positive result, but it was almost 100 years. See, it is 1674. Benedict was born in 1884. So it took about 100 years time. Even after his birth, he spent at least 20-25 years after birth. Somehow developed this reagent, and he could detect presence of glucose in the urine. But something discovered within the laboratory, it cannot be put in regular use on the very next day. So it took nearly 250 years from his discovery to be available or to be used clinically, unlike COVID. COVID was detected and it was put into use. So there is extensive trials, experiments are done, and then only the test is put for common and widespread use for patient care activities. So as I told you earlier, this write down glycosuria means presence of reducing sugar in urine. And Benedict test is a non-specific test. A question might be asked at the end. I'll address to this question why Benedict is a non-specific test. All sugars having free aldehyde or free ketone group gives Benedict test positive. Note down this thing. All sugars having free aldehyde or free ketone group gives Benedict test positive. I told earlier, again I am repeating, qualitative test means detection only, whether it is present or not. Benedict test is not a mere qualitative test, it is a semi-quantitative. There is one more reagent which is available for quantification, exact quantification, but that is not used nowadays. Instead of Benedict test, we use glucose urine dipsticks test, which I will get it one from the central lab and show it to you. And at the end, I will show a figure also. So glycosuria, this part I have written. All monosaccharides, maltose I have written. Not sucrose, this part I have written. I have explained this. So glucose means glucosuria is the most common cause of presence of sugar in urine, diabetes mellitus, until proved otherwise, means until other diseases are excluded. Lactosuria in some pregnant mother at the end of third trimester or during lactation period, baby will be getting milk from the mother. So lactose will be available in the blood. That lactose, excess lactose will be excreted in the urine. So that lactose being a reducing sugar, it can give Benedict test positive. So when lady in the reproductive age group, so about 18 or 15 to 40 years, if you find a urine sugar positive, first inquire whether he is a last trimester pregnancy or whether he is a nursing mother. If that part is ruled out, then diabetes is the actual cause of that positive Benedict test. Otherwise, there is a possibility that it might be due to lactosuria. So false diagnosis will not be made. So this is free aldehyde, free ketone group. Glucose at number 1 position is free aldehyde group is there, and fructose is 2 position ketone group. So ketone group is usually present in position number 2, aldehyde is the number 1 position. So if there is any free aldehyde, free ketone, it will give ezidiol and it will give a positive result. So the epimers of glucose. So in epimers, there are epimer positions which are changed here, but anomeric carbon, that aldehyde group is there. So you will give positive result or negative result? Will mannose, galactose will give positive result, Benedict result or not? Tell me whether it will give mannose or galactose will give positive Benedict test or not. বলছি ওকে ধরেছি বলো why দাঁড়া তুমি বলো you just explain you told correctly explain why আমি জিজ্ঞেস করছি mannose আর galactose Benedict test পজিটিভ দেবে না দেবে না দেবে ও তো বলেছে দেবে আমি জিজ্ঞেস করছি কেন why why ডাইস্যাকারাইড পেলে কোথায় থাকে হ্যাঁ ডাইস্যাকারাইড কোথা থেকে দুটো পেলে স্যাকারাইড কোথায় পেলে where from you got is this a dry saccharide is any of the one of them is dry saccharide তারপরে সবাই বলছে নো স্যার বলছে এই মহা মুশকিল maybe you are correct but you explain whether it is disaccharide or not. See, this is the reason why I am asking this question. It can be one way. The theoretical class, it is only one way. This is a small group discussion. You tell something wrong, you can tell something correct also. And clarify, there must be clarifications. Hey, তুমি বলো will mannose or galactose give positive result or not? Benedict test. দেবে দেবে না দেবে না হ্যাঁ কি বলছে শুনতে পাচ্ছি না ক্যামেরা রেকর্ডিং হচ্ছে দেবে দেবে তো না দেবে না কেন ভাই রিডিউসিং সুগার কি করে বুঝলে রিডিউসিং সুগার মনোস্যাকারাইড মনোস্যাকারাইড তো বললো ঠিক আছে সব মনোস্যাকারাইড এক্ষেত্রে কি জন্য দেবে তো আমি একটা স্টেটমেন্ট দিয়ে দিয়েছি মনোস্যাকারাইড দেবে সব বাট হোয়াই ইন দিস কেস এই দিক থেকে তুমি বলো একে দেবেন, বলো কেন দেবে? বসো 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 বসো। কি হাত তুলছিলে? হ্যাঁ বলো। এই দেখো ফ্রি অ্যালডিহাইড গ্রুপ, ফোকাস করুন দিদিকে। হ্যাঁ বলো। হ্যাঁ, free aldehyde group at what position? 1 position. So 1 position free aldehyde group is there, and that is the reason why it will give positive test. I told you free aldehyde and free ketone is the requirement. Is it clear to rest of the class? So look at the position of the structure, linear structure I have given for you to understand. এইবার বলো তুমি 1 নম্বর, এটা দেবে না দেবে না? ক্যামেরাটা ওদিকে ঘোরা বলতে কেন হয়? এটা পজিটিভ টেস্ট হবে না? হবে না? হয় কিটোন গ্রুপ, ফ্রি কিটোন গ্রুপ। This is the purpose why I am asking. These are the things which will be basic. These are basic questions. তুমি বলে ফ্রি কিটোন গ্রুপ, where কিটোন গ্রুপ is present, you come hands for. তুমি এসে এসে দেখো, জাস্ট এসে এসে এসো না। আরে এখনই যদি ভুল বললো তাহলে সুবিধা আছে, তুমি পরীক্ষার সময় বলতে পারবে ঠিকঠাক করে। I want all of you to pass in the first attempt. My basic objective is not to harass you, not to tease you in the class. My very objective is very clear, that all of you must pass in the first attempt and get highest marks, as much marks as you can. And that is the reason I am wasting time. And you must have a solid background. I might be taught in a village school, but my foundation was made very strong. বলো কিটোন গ্রুপ কোথা থেকে তুমি পেলে? কিটোন গ্রুপ কাকে বলে? হোয়াট ইজ কিটোন গ্রুপ? বলো হোয়াট ইজ কিটোন গ্রুপ? দেখছো না এই এই কেন ফেল করে বুঝতে পারছো? কখন ফেল করে একটা ক্যান্ডিডেট? কিছু মনে করো না, তোমাকে টাইম করছি সো দ্যাট ইউ ইমপ্রুভ। কে বলবো কিটোন গ্রুপ? হোয়াট ইজ কিটোন গ্রুপ? সিও গ্রুপ রয়েছে এখানে? কি গ্রুপ আছে এখানে? অ্যালডিহাইড আছে। তাহলে দেবে না দেবে না? পজিটিভ দেবে তো? অল অফ ইউ এগ্রি? আচ্ছা 2 নম্বর পজিশনটা 2 নম্বর। আর তুমি বলো, দাঁড়া কে বেছে বেছে জিজ্ঞেস করছে, দাঁড়া দাঁড়া দাঁড়া। এ হলুদ যা কি জন্য ওটা ওকে দেখে বলো, ওখানে বলো, বসে বসে বলো। হ্যাঁ কিটোন গ্রুপ দেবে না তো? সবাই এগ্রি করছো? বোঝা যাচ্ছে? কিছু আইডিয়া হয়েছে মাথাতে? তারপরটা ফ্রুক্টোজ। কে কে দেবে বলছে হাত তোলো। আচ্ছা হাত নামাও। কে কে দেবে না তার মধ্যে ফেভারে বলো। দেবে না, ও তো সবাই দেবে না বলেছে, ঠিক? এই দেখো দেবে না বলেছে। এবার তুমি বলো কেন দেবে না? কোথায় দুটো কার্বনের সাথে অ্যাটাচ আছে? ফ্রি নাই কেউ কার্বন। আচ্ছা তুমি বলতে পারবে? বলো এটা কি? এই ফ্রুক্টোজটা পজিটিভ টেস্ট দেবে না দেবে না? কি জন্য? আচ্ছা ও বলছি ফ্রি কিটোন গ্রুপ আছে। কোথায় ফ্রি কিটোন গ্রুপ আছে দেখে দাও তো। এসো ক্লাসে এসো, এসো 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 এসো, তুমি এসো এসো এসো। আমার ক্লাসে ফ্রি করো। শোনো আমি 1 বছর থাকবো তোমাদের সাথে। At that time you interact with me freely. বলো বলো বলো, দেখো 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 কোথায় আছে? দেখতে পেয়েছো ফ্রি কিটোন গ্রুপটা? এই যে প্রথমে স্ট্রাকচার দেখালাম, এই দেখো দেখো, বসো এখানে। এই দেখো প্রথমে স্ট্রাকচারটা দেখালাম, ওই দেখো ফ্রি অ্যালডিহাইড গ্রুপ বললাম না বারবার। অ্যালডিহাইড 1 নম্বরে থাকে, কিটোনটা 2 নম্বরে থাকে। এই ট্রেন দেওয়ার মতো আপ 1 প্ল্যাটফর্ম 2 ডাউন 2। এইটা হলো তো? দেখতে পেয়েছো এটা? তোমার ব্যাপারটা ক্লিয়ার হয়েছে এবারে? এইটা বলো তো ম্যানিটন, তুমি 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 কেন হয়েছে? ক্লিয়ার হয়েছে ব্যাপারটা? বুঝতে পেরেছো? কে বুঝতে পারে এখনো পর্যন্ত? কার ডাউট আছে? এইটা বাটা 1 নম্বর বাঁ দিকেরটা কে কে দেবে? হাত তোলো। কে? আচ্ছা 2 নম্বরটা দেবে না? কে কে হাত তুলছো? দেবে না? কে কে হাত তুলছো বলো? বেনিডিক্ট টেস্ট নেগেটিভ হবে, কে হাত তুলছো? কেউ নাই? পজিটিভ হবেই যাবে না, তাই তো? হবে তো? ডাউট আছে? তারপরটা দেবে? 4টেই দেবে তো? কেন দেবে? আর ফ্রি অ্যালডিহাইড আছে না ফ্রি কেটোন আছে? এইটা কোনটা দেবে না? কোনটা দেবে না সেটা হাত তুলতে হবে একজনকে। কোনটা দেবে না হাত তুলতে হবে। Which one will not give a positive result? Which will give positive result? All 4. ঠিক আছে? এইবার I think by this time it is clear now. So this part will not be known to the technicians. That is the difference between you and what will be this one? এই যে একবার কাকে বলি, সবুজ তুমি বলো এইটা দেবে না? দেবে না? হ্যাঁ কনফার্ম? কেন নেই? আচ্ছা এই তুমি লাস্ট পাশেরটা তুমি এই তোমার আগে হ্যাঁ ইয়েস কি জন্য? তাহলে দেখো গ্লুকোনিক অ্যাসিড দেবে না গ্লুকোনিক অ্যাসিড দেবে। বোঝা গেল ব্যাপারটা? At the end you will see glucuronic acid is in the list of false positive results. Glucuronic acid is a false, it will give false positive results because of the presence of this thing. So I have written categorically this simple form to make you understand. So somebody was telling disaccharide, you telling disaccharide. Why? When disaccharide is formed, when 2 monosaccharides are joined together by glycosidic bond, that is called disaccharide. So 2 saccharide will be there. 1 saccharide will be called monosaccharide. Here 2 saccharides are there. Glucose and glucose forms maltose. Write down. Glucose and glucose forms maltose. And the glycosidic bond between the 2 is between 1 and 4. Just write down this part. Glucose plus glucose forms maltose. What is the composition of maltose? So maltose, if you take, it will be broken down into 2 molecules of glucose. What happens here? This bond is here, 1, and the 4th is here. So glycosidic bond will be between 1 and 4. So this aldehyde will be free. 1 aldehyde will be free in maltose. And that is the reason why maltose is a reducing sugar. Is this part clear? There are 2 free aldehyde groups in each, but only 1 will be involved in glycosidic bond. 1 and 4. 1, 4. 1 will be free. So maltose will give positive result, isn't it? Structures are like this. কোথায় ভুল আছে বলো তো? আরে ভাই সাইক্লাইজেশন আছে না, সাইক্লাইজেশন আছে, সিএইচ গ্রুপ এইভাবে হবে। তুমি যেটা দেখছো না লিনিয়ার স্ট্রাকচার এইভাবে থাকে না, সলিউশনের মধ্যে পিরানোজ বা ফিরানোজ ফর্মে থাকে। এই যে আমরা সলিউশন কেমিস্ট্রি ডেসক্রাইব করছি এইভাবে স্ট্রাকচারগুলো লাগানো থাকে নাকি? স্ট্রাকচারগুলো এরকম করে থাকে কি এত সুন্দরভাবে? থাকে না, এগুলো জাস্ট ফর আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং পারপাস। এই ডবল বন্ড যেগুলো দেখিয়েছি এরকম থাকে কি? থাকে না। সলিউশনে এইভাবে ফর্মে দেখতেই পাবে না। এগুলো বন্ড হয়ে থাকে, সব হাইড্রোজেন বন্ডিং করে থাকে পুরোপুরি, জলের মধ্যে ডিজলভ হয়ে রয়েছে সলিউশনটা। সো অল আর ইন হাইড্রোজেন বন্ডস। অর্থাৎ এই জিনিসটা গ্লুকোজটা সলিউশনের মধ্যে ঢুকবে কি করে? ওকে, So here only for you to easily understand this thing, this is hemiacetal form. So there are several forms: glucose, pyranose form, both form, chair form, pyranose, furanose. There are many forms. So basic thrust of today's class is to make you understand what is free aldehyde group and free ketone group. বলো হ্যাঁ কোনটা বলছো এই দেখো COH আছে এটা COH এর কার্বক্সিলিক অ্যাসিড আছে এই যে ফ্রি অ্যালডিহাইড গ্রুপটা আছে COH আছে না এখানে COH আছে OH আছে তো কারণ ওই গ্রুপটা দেখো ফ্রুক্টোজের সাথে ডিফারেন্সটা দেখো এই দেখো ফ্রুক্টোজের সাথে ডিফারেন্সটা দেখো এই কার্বনের অ্যারাউন্ডে আছে কি বুঝেছো ব্যাপারটা এর উপরে তো কার্বনের সাথে আছে তার নিচেরটা আছে এদিকে আছে এটা CH আছে OH আছে ওই CH তো নাই একটু বোঝো ভালো করে তারপর আবার জিজ্ঞেস করো কোনো অসুবিধা নেই পরে 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 ক্লাসটা শেষ করলি তারপর তোমার সাথে বলবো কোনো অসুবিধা নেই ল্যাকটোজ লেখো গ্লুকোজ প্লাস গ্যালাক্টোজ ফর্মস ল্যাকটোজ সো এখানে কি হয় again 1 position and 4 position are involved. So one free aldehyde group is there. So lactose is a reducing sugar. এই শুধু বন্ডটা শুধু খেয়াল রাখো ওই গ্লুকোজ in maltose and in lactose the difference is that 2 molecules of glucose form maltose, 1 molecule of glucose and 1 molecule of galactose forms lactose. And this is asked question: what is the composition of, what is the 2 units of disaccharides? And bond is between 1 and 2, and that's why one aldehyde group is free, and that is the reason why lactose is a reducing sugar. এবার সুক্রোজটা এসো যেটা তুমি বলি চিনি নর্মালি খায় কেন এটা নেগেটিভ রেজাল্ট দেয় এর 1 নম্বর আর 2 নম্বর পজিশনের মধ্যে আছে বন্ডটা এই গ্লাইকোসাইডিক বন্ডটা 1 and 2 এর মধ্যে আছে সেই জন্য এই কোনো বন্ড ফ্রি নাই না ফ্রি অ্যালডিহাইড আছে না ফ্রি কিটোন আছে সেই জন্য গ্রুপ সুক্রোজটি রিডিউসিং সুগার নয়
আমি এটারই কথা বলছিলাম যে উপরে যেটা আছে ওটা CH আছে একটা ডাবল বন্ড মানে উপরেটা অ্যালডিহাইড আর নিচে যেটা আছে ওটাতে একটা H আছে আর
হ্যাঁ তো এই যে এটা দুটো H আছে এইদিকেটা H আছে এইদিকেটা H আছে সেটা COH আছে হ্যাঁ এইটা এটা তো করবে না এটা কোথায় করবে CH এর বন্ড ফর্ম করে বসে আছে এখানে হেমিঅ্যাসিডাল ফর্ম আছে ওটা পরে তোমাকে কেমিস্ট্রিটা ভালো করে বোঝাবো পরে অ্যাট দ্য এন্ড ঠিক আছে পরে বোঝাবো ক্লাসটা শেষ করে নিতে অনেকক্ষণ সময় লাগবে তুমি শুধু আপাতত এইটা জেনে রাখো যে দুটো ফ্রি কোনো ফ্রি অ্যালডিহাইড ফ্রি কিটোন গ্রুপ নেই আর এই ক্ষেত্রে ফ্রি অ্যালডিহাইড ফ্রি কিটোন গ্রুপ নেই সেজন্য নন রিডিউসিং এইগুলো এরকম স্ট্রাকচারেই থাকে আগে বেসিক্যালি এইভাবেই দেয় আচ্ছা এছাড়া আর একটা জিনিস করা হয় ইউরিনে গ্লুকোজ ডিপস্টিক যেটা দেখানো হবে এইটা কাম্বারসাম প্রসিডিউর দেখো এখানে নিচ্ছি গরম করতে হবে নিতে হবে করতে হবে তা করতে হবে ঝামেলা দিস ইজ দ্যাটস ওয়াই ইট হ্যাজ বিন রিপ্লেসড বাই গ্লুকোজ ডিপস্টিক মেথড basically an enzyme impregnated strips are there. That strip is having the same thing. One is available for glucose and protein, one is maybe available for glucose specifically, and one is multi-parameters. In urine there are many parameters are there. So this type of strips are available. What is done? That in the urine that strip is dipped into and it is just lifted and observed after 1 minute whether there is a change in color. So the change in color is just like that what you have seen, and you can see that it is 100 trace, 250, 500, 1000 and 2000. So depending on the company's composition they will write it and they will give a color matching. So with that strip you match it, and I will try to get one and show it to you. So similarly, if protein is present, so protein will give this type of color. Okay. So this is very convenient in the sense that it can be done immediately within 1 minute. And second, usually what is done, for last 30 years I am telling you, patient is given this strip just like this, hold it on the top, this strip. This is actually that containing this area. Patient is asked to go to the toilet, pass urine directly onto the strip and bring it to the laboratory. By the time 1 minute will pass, and the moment the patient comes with the strip, you record the area and throw it. So there is no need for test tube, there is no need for bringing their material. And from the toilet it is difficult for everybody, for male, female, particularly female. It's difficult. The best thing is to pass urine and bring it. And in the clinic also, you can use this strip to see whether there is any glucosuria or not. And the prima facie evidence is that the patient is diabetic. If urine sugar test becomes positive in any patient, at least you get an idea the patient is diabetic. Now we have to do blood sugar. You get a rough idea. But all the diabetic patients do not excrete glucose, and why not? This is all I will discuss if I take the GTT class. So approximately again glucose dipstick gives a rough quantitation. So as I told you, lactose will not give. Lactose will give Benedict positive or negative. Lactose will give positive or negative. Positive. So the lactose will give positive. Lactose Benedict test will be positive or negative. দেখুন কিছু শুনতে পাওয়া যাচ্ছে কিনা দেখো তো, ক্যামেরাটা জোর করে দেন না কি বলছো, পজিটিভ না নেগেটিভ? মানে এমনভাবে বলছো শুনতে পাচ্ছি না, বলো। You don't understand me. Okay. Whether Benedict test will be positive for lactose or not? It will be positive. Sure? Huh? Sure. Why? What about sucrose? Sucrose? I will लिख दीजिए clearly. See what I will do. These packets are sealed. These are available in the microbiology laboratory. They are used in real life testing for the patient. So I will ask on the first day, that is tomorrow, from the laboratory they will bring this thing, and from here I will collect in a small piece of paper and use it for the first batch, second batch, and third batch. I will keep it. Or else if he is agreed, because opening repeatedly is not allowed, because moisture will enter into that thing. It is ultra pure for laboratory use. See, sucrose, this 500 grams cost nearly 450 rupees, and 500 sugar in the market costs about 24 rupees. So this is an ultra pure. So we will try to show you the packet, and we will take a small amount and you will test it. And at the same time I will bring some amount of sugar from my room. Also you bring some sweet fruits, whatever I am telling you. You can test it also as an unknown sample. Yes, a very good question. Sucrose ke liye ki hobe? Sucrose you will get basically, দেখো sucrose structure দেখো ভালো করে, দেখো এই কোশ্চেনটা করে ঠিক কোশ্চেনটা দেখো, দেখো এই কোশ্চেনটা করার জন্য আমি খুব খুশি। দাও হ্যাঁ, সুক্রোজ খাবে। He wants to take sucrose. Sucrose means চিনি। কতটা খাবে? How much you want to take? 1 চামচ। 1 চামচ তো খেতে পারো, 1 চামচ বলো। কোনটা ল্যাবে স্পেশাল? ওটা ল্যাবে স্পেশালের মধ্যে পার্থক্য আছে। That is the question. The specialty of the laboratory is that, see, we are purchasing in the market, and that is not in the pure form. So there might be some monosaccharides that can give a false positive result, because although it is sucrose, I am telling you, but that sugar might give Benedict test positive, Normally it will not give. If we take that pure form, because this is a pure form, this is purified form, no admixture is there. In market form, if there is any admixture, chances of admixture, because this is done a little crudely, and that is done by a more sophisticated method, analytical method. So that's why there is a possibility, although it will not give. I have checked it also, but again at one time I also checked that it is giving a positive result. And I had a long career. Whenever I got a chance, I used to test it. So whether it is giving, at one time I found that it is giving positive result. And that time I got confused that why it should give. Then I thought it might be contaminated with some monosaccharides during the preparation. It is prepared from basically sugarcane juice. So if some fructose is there, by chance admixture, or during the processes, so there is a possibility. That is the difference. I will bring both the things together. You might get both the things negative, or that pure sucrose will give a positive, negative result, and we can get a positive result also. Okay. Is this particular? Now, if you take glucose, again, ask one teaspoonful every day we take with tea. If you take, there is one person in our village who used to take, even after normal food intake in a marriage party, he used to take 90 rasagula. And my own young sister can take almost 40 rasagula, the big size, at the end of the dinner. So there are persons, but those persons, they have their carbohydrate metabolism capacity so strong that extra sugar they can metabolize, and if they cannot metabolize, that gets excreted in the urine. But if you give 40 rasagula in a diabetic patient, he is going to die. And that patient who used to take 90 rasagula is still alive at the age of right now 82, 84. Even in the fields he is cultivating lands. So 90 rasagula was fixed for him during marriage party after dinner. And there are persons who used to take 4 kilo dahi after normal dinner. They used to take 1 kilo mutton. They are the champion people in our village. So this I will bring it and show it to you. Okay? Note down this part completely. Benedict test is not a positive, is not a specific test, justified. Because apart from glucose, Benedict test gives false positive reaction with all the followings. Like non-glucose reducing sugar as reducing agent. Glucose will give, but all non-glucose reducing sugars will give Benedict as reducing agents. And I told you at least 3 times that all monosaccharides and 2 disaccharides, that is maltose and lactose, will give positive result, not sucrose. Then vitamin C, I will bring it. Tablet of vitamin C. You can see even if you do not heat it, it is so strong that it reduces Benedict test. And I have seen. So I will take a vitamin C and I will dissolve it in water and you test it. So if somebody takes vitamin C on the preceding night and in the next day morning there is a concentrated urine, that vitamin C extra amount will get excreted and you may get a false positive result. And the patient might shout that I am having sugar, but I don't have any sugar. But then you inquire what you have taken in the preceding night. Vitamin C or vitamin capsules. Many people are fond of taking vitamin capsules. It will increase strength. So if you take excess amount of water soluble vitamin, that excess vitamin will be excreted in the urine. And you have seen after taking vitamin tablets, the urine color becomes yellowish, because that is the extra vitamin which is getting excreted. So vitamin C, if it is taken in extra amount, that extra amount will be excreted in multivitamin tablets or multivitamin capsules. Homogenesic acid, urates, creatinine, glucuronic acid, I told you, lactic acid, drugs and chemicals. But see, mere presence of these substances will not give a positive result. Like glucose, you have seen 100 to 300. So if 50 milligram of glucose is present in that solution, or 75 gram or 80 gram, Glucose is present, but that will not give you a positive result. So for minimum requirement is 100 milligram per deciliter. Similarly, again if you look at 1 to 1.5 grams per liter means 100 to 150 milligrams per 100 ml. So reducing equivalence of this much amount must be there in the urine. Then only it will give positive result. Otherwise not. Mere presence will not give a positive result. So a huge amount of homogenetic acid which actually happens in homogenetic aciduria, there is a disease that can give a false positive result. Is this part clear? So you write down all these things. Only just to appraise you of that this mere presence doesn't indicate. It has to be in high concentration. See, vitamin C tablet I will bring. I will show it to you. I have collected a small amount of molasses from the canteen. Again, we will dissolve it and you can see it. So these are not part of your actual test. I will show it to you, those who are interested. Those who are not interested, after doing the urine test, they can leave the class. This is extra information which I am giving just to orient you to make some research work in future. That whenever you get any chance, do an experiment. And one day you might be Thomas Willis also. And in my life also I have done fast reporting PP less than fasting after taking food. Blood glucose level was down, lower than fasting, and that was the first reported case in the world literature by me. Again, I reported the lowest blood sugar, 5 milligram patient was not conscious, unconscious. This was reported by me. 20 milligram blood sugar patient is walking. Again, that was the lowest recorded report in the world literature. It was made by me. So I have recorded my observations also. I have communicated with Harrison Sathar to change something in the medicine book. He has changed it. So this is the purpose of showing this thing. Somebody might take some drugs also. This I have also seen in my practical life, and urine sugar was positive. Then I asked the patient to bring all the medicines to me, and I put each and every tablet and dissolved it in the water, and then they did the Benedict test and identified that this is the drug which is causing. You have taken in the last night and you are not diabetic. Don't worry, it is a drug effect. The patient was happy. So you know the procedure, don't only you can do it even wherever you want. You collect the Benedict results and you just do the test. So this is now, there are many things. One is glucosuria, lactosuria. This you did not write the whole thing, only glucosuria, lactosuria, galactosuria, pentasuria, and fructosuria. If it is present, it will give, all will give positive result for Benedict test. Now how will you identify? This test we have done during our MBBS class. We had to boil the solution with 30 minutes with phenyl hydrazine, and then after that we used to see the precipitate in the microscope. For glucose it was glucosazole, so it will give a negligible structure. If you note down lactosuria, it will give a hedgehog or peel on cushion with cushion type, flower of touch me not. Galactosuria, very common disease. You note down the name of the enzyme, galactose 1-phosphate usually transferase. Pentasuria, these causes of these diseases will come as a NEET PG, even NEET PG examination. Galactosuria, pentasuria, fructosuria, and these enzymes will name with for the absence of what enzyme causes this disease. So that is the reason I have given. Even this test might come, and those who will be participating in future in medical quiz, this type of questions might be asked as a quiz question also. So this is not mandatory.